John Tommy Rosas with Tatton. I'm doing another video on the Biona Wetlands Ecological Reserve EIS. The, the sheet map I'm going to use, the T sheet, is from the U.S. Coast Survey Maps of California. So I'm using that, and I'm also going to show you what was not shown by the Santa Monica Bay Restoration Commission. I call them the Santa Monica Bay Demolition Commission, and the Bay Foundation, and the Coastal Conservancy. They used the T sheets for their agenda, but they didn't show what I'm going to show you. Excuse me, what's on the same program. Okay, so let me just zoom in on this part. This is the original. That gives you some bearing where it is. I'm going to, you can see the wetlands is here, the marina, excuse me, and so forth. Hang on. So anyway, this is the map T143-2B, and I also am using the graphics that they did originally, but also excuse me, the ones that were added by a research team that made it more accurate. But those were not used if it didn't help the conservancy and the bulldozing, saltwater inundation, agenda, which is a lot of the enviro groups have weighed in for it. Most of them got money. I'll go into that later on another video, but this shows the original map. I'm going to leave it like that. Then I'm going to so you can see where the wetlands is now. It's right here. Went into here, but they butchered it with Playa Vista. This is the Biona Creek. This is the Centinela Creek. Of course, it didn't end there, but it was part of the wetland, and it didn't just start there. It went way back into here. So some of the additional features they put in weren't accurate. I also don't think this is totally accurate, that it went here and went over. And you'll see on what I'm going to show you why I feel that way. So I'm going to add the colors in of the estuarine habitats and the T sheet. Okay, so when you look at this, here is the Biona Creek and another stream, just to give you some bearing. And it shows this open water section, and the green is vegetated wetland. So these are graphics that were on the original drawings. They were outlined, but they weren't. So you can see it in here. They weren't colored, so this is the color version, which is easier to understand, and including the labels. So I'm leaving those up, but it shows that this was all vegetated, and the red is basically the salt water portions of it. That you can see here. So what I'm doing is showing how the information wasn't used properly or accurately, and it was only used by the Coast Conservancy and them and Bay Foundation to shore up their agenda. When you look at this, let me change the transparency there. When you look at that, trying to show you the difference of where the salt is. They're claiming it was up in here, which I don't believe, but it could have been. But regardless of that, it does show how much green vegetated wetlands there was, which is all this, which was quite a bit. And so even if this was accurate, we know this is pretty accurate. Even if this was accurate, it doesn't justify, tearing all this open with a bulldozer to inundate the rest of the wetlands with salt water when it never had that. The grade and the let me put this up. The grade and the different labeling doesn't back up what they had, because when you look at this, they had this section here, and this is open water. It's fresh water. So this is also fresh water. So the freshwater sources were there. It just conflicts with what's known and what's been studied. But I think this was a possible area that wasn't salt. It was like this one, which is an intertidal flat. And I think this one was too, but I don't think it was intertidal like they're talking about it with the ocean. I think it was a flat with just fresh water that would hold like a pond more than it was, tied in with the seawater. And that's a long ways for it to go in that skinny, strip. And it just doesn't make sense. This one doesn't make sense either. So some of it is not conclusive to me, and then they use it, of course, to justify their ways. But I'm going to get back to this. You see where this is fresh water. It doesn't add up that this would be tidal, nor does this, because here's the fresh water from the creek, the Ballon Creek, which is like the West Fork of the LA River. And why would it all of a sudden go to intertidal? I think the fresh water was actually coming down that way, and it was intertidal somewhere else. Same with this one. I think this was tied in, and this was intertidal, only that the fresh water drained out of it. It wasn't tidally influenced. So I think they've got it labeled wrong. But when you look at it that way, it still doesn't justify what they're saying with this being open water in here, and having the rest of it be vegetated wetland. It's not supported by the conclusions of salt water or salt pan, because it's just not like that. It wasn't like that. So this helps explain that in the agenda and what they didn't show. And I'm hoping that when you folks look at this, you'll see what we're looking at and the reasons why it should be left as a freshwater alternative, not bulldozed, not saltwater inundated, and have this be a feature of restoration, like I put in my video ahead of this one, where it's green, and like I said, some of this could be freshwater wetlands as well as over here. You can see where area A is, all this, and this part of B could be restored, including tearing this out and putting something decent in there and opening it up. It was supposed to be 25 acres larger, but you know, it's a collection area, so I think we can have a pump station here where this dumps into the Iona Creek channel, and then have the water cleaned up so it's usable and more natural, and then redistribute it appropriately in these areas. And you saw the graphic I made on the other one. So anyway, that's about it. I just wanted to explain this map and the use of it and how it wasn't really done in the way that it could have been to show the full information on this project that was done. And I think their name is on the bottom. It was one of these, not that one. Yeah, I think it's this one. Yeah, it was a Southern California Coastal Water Research Project, and they developed those maps and the GIS and all that. Here it is right here, Historical Ecological, and they have this one too, the watershed, but you can go on their website. It's sccwrp.org, and there's a lot of information on there, and it's not the same information that we're given, and it was used in the reports. A lot of the reports that were done for the Ballon Wetlands Ecological Reserve EIS and EIR didn't have these details, and they didn't use the coloring. So that's why I thought it was important to do this, and people could see it for themselves. So anyway, that's my 2 bits. Thank you.